The rain was relentless that October morning, drumming against the glass of my Manhattan penthouse, each drop a reminder of the walls I'd built around my heart. My name is James, but that name means nothing when you're drowning in a life you never chose. I had it all: marble floors, a garage full of cars that purred like promises, a fortune that could buy loyalty or lies. But wealth is a cruel mask, one I'd worn so long I barely recognized the man beneath. That morning, staring out at the gray city, I made a choice that could either free me or destroy me. I decided to disappear, not from the world, but from the weight of my own name. It started with a memory that cut deeper than I'd admit. A dinner years ago, my father's voice like ice saying, "Trust is a debt you'll never repay." He was right, and I'd paid for it with years of empty smiles and hands that reached for my wallet, not me. I was tired of it, tired of wondering if anyone could love me without the shadow of my wealth. So I shed it all: the tailored suits, the private drivers, the life that screamed power. I became Jamie, just a guy in a worn jacket, slipping into a crowded Brooklyn diner unnoticed. And then I saw her, Ella, with her crooked smile and the way she tucked a stray curl behind her ear, like she didn't know the world was watching. For the first time I felt seen, not for what I had, but for who I was, or who I pretended to be. That first moment, her laugh, bright and unguarded, felt like a lifeline in a storm. But every step closer to her came with a gnawing fear. Was she falling for me or for the lie I'd spun? And worse, what happens when the truth slips out, as it always does? There's someone out there, someone from my past, who knows exactly who I am, and they're closer than I think. This is the story of the risk I took, the heart I dared to open, and the cost of chasing something real in a world built on secrets. I'm laying it all bare because I need you to feel this. The hope, the dread, the moments that make you question everything. If you've ever hidden a piece of yourself to find something true, hit that like button and let me know I'm not alone. Comment below, what's the biggest risk you've taken for love? And if you're ready to see where this gamble leads, subscribe and come with me, because the truth is coming, and it's going to change everything. The Brooklyn diner smelled of grease and rain-soaked coats, the kind of place where the air clung to you, heavy with the ghosts of 1,000 late-night confessions. The jukebox crooned Springsteen, his voice raw and hopeful, as I stood by a cracked vinyl booth, my hands trembling in a thrift store jacket that scratched against my skin. I was Jamie now, not James, the man whose name could buy this whole block, the man whose life was a polished lie of marble floors and private drivers. Tonight, the ache in my chest felt heavier, like the city itself was pressing down, whispering it knew my secret. I'd spent years building walls around my heart, each one a shield against the world that saw my wealth before it saw me. But here, in this diner, I was invisible, and it was both terrifying and exhilarating. Waitresses shouted orders over the clatter of plates, their voices sharp against the hum of conversations. But I was a ghost, slipping through the noise unnoticed. My penthouse, my cars, my tailored suits, all traded for this fleeting moment of anonymity. I'd never felt so free, yet so afraid. What if this was a mistake? What if I couldn't outrun the shadow of my name? Across the counter, Ella moved, like she belonged here, her crooked smile flashing as she teased a coworker about overpouring coffee. Her laugh cut through the fog in my head, bright and unfiltered, like she didn't care who was watching. She didn't know me, not James, not the man who could buy her world 10 times over. And that was everything. My pulse quickened. A spark of something I hadn't felt in years. My hand shook as I scribbled my number on a napkin, the pen slipping in my grip. It was a reckless move, a dare to myself to step into this new skin. I slid it across the counter when she passed, her fingers brushing mine as she tucked it into her apron. Her eyes, warm and curious, met mine, and my heart stuttered. Alive in a way it hadn't been since I was a kid, before my father's cold lessons took hold. Back in my Manhattan penthouse, the city's skyline glittering like a taunt, I stared at the mirror. The man looking back wasn't James, with his silk ties and calculated smiles, but Jamie, a stranger in faded denim, chasing something real. Could I really leave James behind? The question gnawed at me, as relentless as the rain outside. My phone lit up on the counter, pulling me from the spiral. Ella's text glowed in the dark. "Coffee girl here. You're braver than you look." I smiled, but it faded fast. Brave? I was a fraud, hiding behind a name I'd borrowed like a costume. What if she saw the real me? The one my father shaped with his icy warnings about trust. The one who'd learned love was just another transaction. I wasn't just hiding my wealth, I was hiding a lifetime of walls, each one built from betrayal and empty promises. They were starting to crack, and I didn't know if I was ready for what would spill out. The city hummed below, its pulse a reminder that secrets don't stay buried. Not here. Not now. Ella's laugh rang out over the hum of the Brooklyn Bridge, sharp and bright against the October wind that tugged at her scarf. We walked side by side, her steps light, like she carried none of the weight I did. She thought I was Jamie, a graphic designer scraping by in a fifth-floor walk-up, and I let her believe it. The lie came too easily, slipping from my lips like a reflex, and I hated how good it felt to be someone else. The city's lights shimmered across the river, but all I could feel was the knot in my chest, tightening with every word I didn't say. I wanted to be the man she saw, not the one I'd left behind in a penthouse full of secrets. We sat on a bench by the East River, the cold seeping through my jeans as Ella told me about her childhood. Small-town fairs, her mom's burned casseroles, the kind of life I'd only seen in movies. I nodded, spinning a fake past of late rent and ramen dinners, each detail a brick in the wall between us. Her fingers brushed mine, and for a moment, the lie dissolved, her touch warm and grounding. But then she asked about my family, her eyes soft, curious, and my throat closed up. I saw my father's face, his voice like frost. "Trust is a debt you'll never repay." I mumbled about a distant dad, skipping the private jets and boardroom battles. Her gaze softened, and guilt twisted in my gut, sharp and unrelenting. I wanted to tell her everything, about the wealth, the loneliness, the name that defined me, but the words stayed locked away. Across the path, a man lingered, his stare, too sharp, his face tugging at a memory I couldn't place. My stomach dropped. Was he from my old life? Someone who knew James, not Jamie? I forced a smile, pushing the fear down as Ella kept talking, oblivious to the shadow creeping closer. Her invitation to dinner at her place came like a lifeline. Her smile so open it hurt to look at. I said yes, knowing every step deeper into her world was a step toward disaster. The city's pulse thrummed beneath us, a reminder that lies don't last. Back at my rented studio, the lie felt heavier, like a coat I couldn't shrug off. I paced the creaky floorboards, the skyline mocking me through the window. Ella's text still glowed on my phone, her words a tether to this fragile new life. But that man by the river, his face lingered, a splinter in my mind. Had I seen him at one of my father's galas? A business rival's shadow? The thought made my hands clench. I'd built this lie to find something real, but what if my past was already closing in? The city's lights glittered, cold and distant, and I wondered how long I could keep Jamie alive before James came crashing through. Every moment with Ella felt like stolen time, and I was already running out. Ella's apartment was a warm, cluttered haven, the scent of basil and candle wax wrapping around me like a promise I didn't deserve. Books spilled over shelves, their spines cracked from love, and mismatched furniture crowded the tiny space. I stood by her kitchen counter, My lie a shadow trailing me, making me feel like an intruder in her world. Her warmth was a magnet, pulling me in, but something darker was closing in, a chill I couldn't shake. I was Jamie, not James, but the city outside her window seemed to know the truth, its hum a warning that my mask was slipping. She stirred pasta, humming softly, her voice light against the clink of pots. I scanned her shelves, pretending to admire her books, but my heart pounded, searching for anything that might expose me. A photo on her fridge stopped me cold. Ella, laughing, arm around a man whose face echoed the one I'd seen by the river. My throat tightened. Was he watching me? Was he part of my past, waiting to unravel me? I forced a smile, joining her at the table, but my hands shook as I gripped my fork. Over dinner, she spoke of a betrayal that broke her, a boyfriend who lied, her voice cracking with the memory. I wanted to hold her, to promise I'd never hurt her, but my own secrets chained me to silence. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a blocked number. I excused myself, stepping into her cramped hallway, and played the voicemail. "You can't hide, James." The words were a blade, slicing through the fragile life I was building. My breath caught, the walls closing in. Who was he? How did he know? Back at the table, Ella saw my face, her eyes narrowing. "Work stress," I lied, my voice thin, but her gaze lingered, sharp and searching, like she could see the cracks in my story. I wanted to confess, to spill everything, but fear held me back, fear of losing her, of seeing her warmth turn cold. The city outside her window pulsed with life, but I felt like a thief, stealing moments I hadn't earned. Her laugh, her touch, the way she tucked a curl behind her ear, it was all too real, too fragile. I was falling for her, falling hard, but the past was knocking, louder now. That man in the photo, the voice on my phone, they were pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. What if they were connected? What if my lie wasn't just hurting me, but her? The thought made my chest ache, a dull pain that spread with every heartbeat. I wasn't just hiding my wealth, I was hiding a lifetime of distrust, and it was starting to bleed through. Have you ever felt a lie burn hotter than the truth? Wanted to be the man Ella saw, but the truth was a ghost, haunting every step I took. The dive bar's neon glow flickered over Ella's face, her laugh a fleeting anchor in the storm brewing inside me. The city felt smaller, its streets closing in like a trap. That voicemail, "You can't hide, James," played on a loop in my mind, each word a splinter digging deeper. I sat across from Ella, her eyes bright with stories, but all I could feel was the weight of my lie, pressing down like the October rain outside. I was Jamie, the guy she laughed with, but James, the man I'd buried, was clawing his way back, and someone out there knew it. She teased me about my starving artist vibe, her voice light, and I forced a laugh, but it cracked, hollow. How long could I keep this up? A stranger brushed past our table, his hand slipping a note into my pocket. "You're not invisible." My fingers trembled as I hid it, my heart pounding so loud I thought Ella might hear. She didn't, pulling me to the dance floor instead, her touch warm, grounding me for a moment. But then I saw him, the man from the river, his silhouette, sharp under a streetlight outside. His eyes locked on mine and my blood ran cold. He wasn't a ghost. He was real, and he was following me. Back at my rented studio, the city's hum felt like a warning. I locked the door, my hands shaking, and found a photo taped to it. Me in a suit, James, not Jamie, staring back from a magazine cover. My stomach churned. Who was doing this? I burned the note, its ashes curling in the sink, but its words lingered, a promise that my past was closing in. I wanted to call Ella, to hear her voice, but what could I say? That I was a fraud? That the man she laughed with was a lie? The thought made my chest ache, a pain I couldn't shake. I paced the creaky floorboards, the skyline mocking me through the window, Ella's warmth, her crooked smile, the way she made me feel seen. It was all slipping away. I'd built this lie to find something real, but now it was unraveling, thread by thread. That man outside the bar, the photo, the voicemail, they were pieces of a truth I wasn't ready to face. What if he wasn't just watching me? What if he knew Ella too? The idea hit like a punch, twisting the guilt in my gut. I wasn't just risking my heart, I was risking hers. The city's lights glittered, cold and unyielding, as I sank onto the couch. I pulled out my phone, Ella's last text glowing. "You're more than you let on." She meant it as a joke, but it cut deeper than she knew. I was more money, more secrets, more lies than she could imagine. The truth was a hunter, stalking me through the streets, and I was running out of places to hide. Every moment with Ella felt like a stolen breath, and I didn't know how many I had left. Ella's words hit me like a wave. She wanted to see my world, my friends, my life. I stood in her apartment, the scent of coffee lingering, my heart racing, as I realized my world was a lie. The city's pulse outside felt like a countdown, each beat ticking closer to the moment I'd lose her. I was Jamie, the guy she trusted, but James, the man with the penthouse and the past, was closing in, and someone out there was making sure of it. The note from the bar, the photo on my door, they were warnings, and I was running out of time. Hired an actor to play my friend, a guy named Mike who sold the starving artist story with a grin. We met Ella at a cafe, his laugh loud, convincing, but her smile wavered, her eyes searching mine for something real. I wanted to give it to her, to spill everything, but fear kept me silent. In Central Park, her hand in mine, I spoke from the heart, wanting to be enough, just as I was. Her smile was everything, warm and unguarded, but it felt stolen, tainted by the note burning a hole in my pocket. She deserves the truth. I didn't deserve her. At a street fair, the crowd buzzing. With laughter, I saw him again. The man from the river, closer now, his smirk sharp enough to cut. He knew who I was, and his presence felt like a noose tightening. Ella didn't notice, her fingers laced through mine, but my pulse raced, the world tilting. That night, under the fairy lights, she kissed me, soft and sure, and for a moment, I believed I could be Jamie forever. But back at my studio, another note waited. "Time's up." My hand shook as I read it, the photo of James staring back, mocking me. The city's skyline glittered through the window, but it felt like a cage. Ella's kiss lingered, a promise I couldn't keep. I'd built this lie to find love, but every step closer to her pulled me deeper into a trap. Who was he? A hired hand? Someone from my father's world? The memory of my father's voice, cold, warning me trust was a debt, twisted in my mind. I'd learned that lesson too well, and now it was costing me everything. Ella deserved the truth, but the truth would break us. I sank onto the couch, my phone heavy in my hand. Ella's last text glowed. "You feel like home." The words cut, sharp and raw, because I was anything but. I was a fraud, a man hiding behind a mask, and someone was peeling it away. The notes, the man, the photo, they were pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. What if Ella got caught in the fallout? The thought made my chest ache, a pain that spread with every breath. I wasn't just risking my heart, I was risking hers, and that was a weight I couldn't bear. What would you sacrifice to keep someone from seeing your scars? I was drowning in my own lie, and Ella was slipping through my fingers. Ella's text hit like a blade. "Why don't I know you?" I stood in my rented studio, the words glowing on my phone, cracking the fragile life I'd built. Her question wasn't just curiosity. It was doubt, and it cut deeper than I expected. The city's hum outside felt like a warning, each pulse reminding me that someone else was unraveling my life faster than I could hold it together. I was Jamie to her, But James, the man I'd buried, was clawing his way out, and the past was knocking, loud and relentless. I met her at the diner, the same cracked booth where it all started. Her eyes were guarded now, her smile gone, replaced by a quiet intensity that made my stomach twist. She asked about inconsistencies, my stories, my life, and I stumbled, my lies crumbling like ash. Every word I spoke felt thinner, weaker, and her silence was worse than any accusation. I wanted to confess, to tell her about the penthouse, the fortune, the name I'd shed, but fear choked me. Outside, the rain hadn't stopped, mirroring the storm in my chest. Back at my studio, a letter waited, typed in stark black, "Tell her or I will?" No signature, but I knew it was him, the man from the river. My hands shook as I read it, the words a threat I couldn't ignore. I tracked him to a private investigator's office in Hell's Kitchen, his grin cold, predatory. He worked for Victor Crane, my father's old rival, a man I'd humiliated in a boardroom years ago. His name brought back memories of my father's voice, sharp and unforgiving. "You make enemies, they never forget." Victor was proving him right. Ella asked me to meet her family, a test I couldn't dodge. I agreed, desperate to hold on to her, even if it was just for one more day. Her parents' apartment in Queens was warm, chaotic, full of laughter and worn furniture, a life I'd never known. Her mom hugged me, her dad offered me a beer, but her brother, Matt, watched me with eyes that saw too much. His stare cut through me like he knew I wasn't Jamie, like he sensed the lie I was living. I smiled, made small talk, but my heart pounded, the letter's warning echoing in my mind. The city outside felt like a trap, its streets closing in. Ella's hand brushed mine as we left, and for a moment, I wanted to believe I could stay in her world. But Matt's gaze lingered, a shadow I couldn't shake. I was caught between the life I craved, her warmth, her laugh, and the one I couldn't escape. Victor's investigator was out there watching, waiting. What did he want? Revenge? Money? Or just to see me break? The thought made my chest ache, a pain that grew with every step. I wasn't just hiding from Ella. I was hiding from a past that refused to let go, and it was pulling her into the crossfire. Ella's brother, Matt, cornered me in the hallway of their Queens apartment, his voice low, sharp. "I've seen you before. You're not Jamie." My heart stopped, the air thick with the weight of my lie. The warmth of her family's laughter still echoed behind us, but Matt's eyes burned with certainty, pinning me like a spotlight. I'd built this life as Jamie to find something real, but now the mask was slipping, and I wasn't ready to lose Ella. The city outside hummed, its pulse a countdown to the moment everything would fall apart. I deflected, my voice tight, claiming he was mistaken, but Matt's stare didn't waver. He'd seen a headline, a photo, James, not Jamie, in some glossy magazine. My stomach churned as I remembered the photo taped to my door, the investigator's smirk. Ella stepped into the hallway, her face crumpling with hurt as she overheard. "What's he talking about?" she asked, her voice soft but sharp, cutting through my defenses. I gave half-truths, stammering about a mix-up, but her eyes searched mine, and I saw doubt take root. Every lie I'd told felt like a brick, building a wall between us. Back at my penthouse, the city's skyline glittering like an accusation, I found my safe open, documents gone. Someone had breached my real life, and I knew it was Victor's investigator, peeling back the layers of my deception. My hands shook as I dialed his number, his laugh cold when he answered. "Victor wants your ruin," he said, "and exposing you to her is just the start." His words were a blade, slicing through the fragile hope I'd clung to. I wasn't just fighting for Ella. I was fighting a past that wanted to bury me. I raced to Ella's apartment, desperate to confess, to lay it all bare before someone else did. But her door was ajar. the lock splintered, her apartment trashed, books scattered, a lamp shattered. Her phone lay on the floor, screen cracked, and my heart stopped. She was gone, and it was my fault. I sank to my knees, the city's hum outside a cruel reminder of how far I'd fallen. I'd lied to protect her, to protect us, but now she was caught in the crossfire of my past. The investigator's words echoed. Victor wanted my ruin. But why Ella? What did he know about her that I didn't? The thought twisted in my gut, a new fear taking hold. I'd built this lie to find love, but it had pulled her into a danger I couldn't control. The city's lights flickered through her window, cold and unyielding, as I clutched her phone, her last text to me glowing. I thought I knew you. I didn't know if I could find her, or if she'd ever forgive me, but I had to try. The truth wasn't mine to control anymore, and it was tearing us apart. Panic clawed at my chest as I tore through Brooklyn's streets, the city a maze of shadows and rain. Ella was gone, her apartment trashed, and every heartbeat screamed it was my fault. I'd built this lie to find love. To be Jamie, not James, but now it might cost me everything. The investigator's smirk, Victor's threat, they were pieces of a puzzle that had trapped Ella, and I was the one who'd led her there. The city's pulse felt like a warning, each step pulling me deeper into a nightmare I'd created. I traced her phone to a warehouse in Red Hook, its rusted doors looming under a flickering streetlight. My heart pounded as I slipped inside, the air thick with dust and menace. Ella was there, wrists bound, her eyes wide with fear but sharp with something else. Strength, maybe, or anger. The investigator stood nearby, his smirk cold, predatory. "You thought you could hide?" he said, his voice dripping with Victor's venom. He wanted my fortune, my name. But more than that, he wanted my shame, laid bare for Ella to see. I clenched my fists, rage and fear blurring together. I lunged at him, my hands shaking as we fought, the warehouse echoing with grunts and crashes. Ella's eyes locked on mine, full of questions I couldn't answer yet. But her gaze gave me strength. I broke free, cutting her ropes, and we ran, her hand tight in mine as we stumbled into the rain. His parting words chased us. "Your name will always own you." They cut deeper than I expected, a truth I'd tried to outrun. We found a safe house, a dingy motel room, and I started to confess. My wealth, my lies. But Ella stopped me. "I don't care who you were," she said, her voice steady. "I care who you choose to be." Her words were a lifeline, but the danger wasn't over. I saw the hurt in her eyes, the betrayal I'd sown, and it tore at me. The city outside buzzed, its neon lights a reminder of the life I'd left behind. Victor was still out there, his investigator a shadow that wouldn't fade. What did they want with Ella? Was she just leverage, or something more? The thought made my chest ache, a pain that spread with every breath. I'd lied to protect her, but now she was in danger because of me, and I didn't know how to fix it. We sat in silence, her hand still in mine, the motel's hum a faint echo of the city's pulse. I wanted to believe her words, to believe I could be Jamie, the man she saw, but the truth was a weight I couldn't shake. The investigator's threat, Victor's plan, they were closing in, and I was running out of time. Ella deserved better than a man who'd built a life on lies, but I couldn't let her go. Not now, not ever. The city was a trap, but she was my reason to keep fighting, even if it meant facing the past I'd tried to bury. The motel room smelled of stale coffee and desperation, the neon sign outside buzzing like my thoughts. I told Ella everything, my wealth, my father's cold lessons, the lies I'd spun to be Jamie. Her silence was worse than any scream, her eyes wet with tears that weren't for the money but for the trust I'd shattered. I sat across from her feeling smaller than ever, stripped bare by her pain. The city's hum outside felt like a judgment, each pulse reminding me I'd brought this on us. I'd wanted love, but all I'd done was pull her into my storm. She cried, her voice soft but raw. "Why didn't you trust me?" she asked, and I had no answer, just the ache of my own guilt. I saw my father's face, his voice cutting through years. "Trust is a debt you'll never repay." He'd taught me to build walls, but Ella had slipped through them, and now I'd hurt her. My phone buzzed. Victor's message: meet him at the pier, or Ella would pay. My stomach twisted. I had to face him, no matter the cost, because losing her was a price I couldn't bear. At the deserted pier, the wind howled, carrying the weight of my choices. Victor stood there, his smile cold, his eyes gleaming with years of resentment. He laid out his plan. Destroy my name, take my empire, make me nothing. But all I cared about was keeping Ella safe. I offered him everything, my fortune, my legacy, if he'd let her go. His laugh was sharp, his greed palpable, but so was his cruelty. "You think you can buy your way out?" he said, stepping closer. My hands clenched, fear and rage mixing in my chest. Ella appeared, her silhouette against the pier's lights, refusing to let me face him alone. Her courage broke me open, a flood of love and shame I couldn't contain. She didn't speak, but her presence was enough, a reminder of why I was here. I faced Victor, my voice steady. "Take it all, but leave her out of this." His eyes, narrowed, calculating, but I saw the crack in his armor. Greed was his weakness, just as lies had been mine. The city's pulse thrummed, a backdrop to the standoff, and I knew this was my reckoning. We stood there, the three of us, caught in a moment that could break everything. Ella's hand brushed mine, grounding me, but the weight of my lies still lingered. Victor's plan was clear, but what wasn't was why he'd targeted Ella. Was she just leverage, or did he know something I didn't? The thought twisted in my gut, a new fear taking hold. I'd told her the truth, but the past wasn't done with us. The pier stretched out, cold and endless, and I knew this wasn't the end, just the beginning of a fight I couldn't walk away from. The pier was cold, the wind slicing through me, carrying the weight of every lie I'd told. Ella stood beside me, her hand steady in mine, her presence a warmth I didn't deserve. For the first time, I wasn't hiding. Not from her, not from myself. I was Jamie, not James, but freedom came at a price, and the city's pulse outside felt like a reminder that I wasn't done paying. Victor's shadow loomed, his plan to ruin me still alive, but Ella's strength was my anchor, and I wouldn't let go. I handed over evidence to the authorities, documents exposing Victor's crimes, his greed laid bare. It cost me my fortune, my name, everything I'd once thought defined me. But as I watched the police take him away, I felt lighter, like I'd shed a skin I'd worn too long. Ella and I moved to a small Brooklyn apartment. No penthouse, no lies. Just us, starting over as equals. The city's skyline glittered outside, no longer a cage but a canvas, full of possibility. I was rebuilding, not just a life, but a self I could live with. The investigator's words lingered. "You'll never outrun your name." He was wrong. I wasn't running anymore. But a letter arrived, unsigned, slipped under our door. "She doesn't know everything." My heart stopped, the words a splinter in my mind. What hadn't I told her? A memory from years ago. A deal I'd made in my father's shadow, something I'd buried even from myself? I pushed it down, focusing on Ella's laugh, her head on my shoulder as we sat on our balcony. Peace felt fragile but real, like a breath I'd been holding too long. The city stretched before us, its hum softer now, like it was finally letting me be. But that letter gnawed at me, a secret I couldn't face. Not yet. Ella deserved the truth, all of it, but I wasn't sure I knew what it was. Her hand in mine was enough for now, but I felt the weight of something unsaid, a shadow that could still break us. I'd fought for this, for her, for us, but the past was never truly gone. It lingered, waiting, like the city itself. This story tore me apart and rebuilt me piece by piece. I'm standing here, raw and open, because of Ella, because of the truth I finally faced. If this hit you, if you've ever fought to be seen for who you are, smash that like button and let me know I'm not alone. Comment below. What's the one secret you've carried to protect someone you love? Subscribe, join me, because some truths are worth everything, and I'm not done chasing them. The city's still humming, and so am I, ready to face whatever comes next.